Hello, class. Now that we're winding down, we have a little bit less than a month. I wanted to touch base with you on your final. Now, I'm waiting to receive some more websites, not too many, so I just can take a quick look at them over the weekend and send you feedback on your websites. Anything I think that you need to look at more closely or maybe make a change. Your usability test is a part of your final assignment, not just your website and the research you did to design it and all that stuff. You also had this very small book on interaction design. It was there for you to review some concepts on designing pages and how usability scientists look at websites or interfaces and how people react to it. So there's some really interesting things in there. Your usability test, I don't want you to worry about that. I know you've never done that, but I added it to the course because this has been really important in the information science field. Usability, user experience, and there are some really amazing jobs for librarians that their whole purpose is how students are using say a school website, and certainly even in public libraries to have somebody that designs a website or even designs a web page and how their patrons engage with it. You can find what works and what doesn't work just by usability tests. So week 9, less than a month ago, I had a unit there. It was usability testing, and it had everything that I felt you need to know. It's kind of like a crash course on usability testing. And I had examples of usability testings. And again, I don't want you to be overwhelmed. Usability tests, when they're done thoroughly, and opportunities arise in academia or in corporate libraries or public libraries, those reports are really thick. But we're not going to be doing that. I don't want you to think that at all. I have a wonderful template for you to use that you'll find as a link. I believe I have one down here, but I want to make sure. I was just looking at it. Let's see. This is the remaining week. When you go, I'll do this again so you can see that. Remaining weeks, go to your website and do usability tests. Got to put a Y on that one. When you go in there, you'll see this template outline for doing a usability test. And part of usability test is doing pre-test interviews and then a interview questionnaire. And that basically is when you do usability tests, usually it's 10 to 20 people, but for this assignment, minimum 2, maximum 4. Who can I pick? Well, you can pick your husband. You can pick people at your library, people where you're working at. It doesn't matter. You can pick your child. I think the important thing is depending on what your website is. Like, for example, I know there's a student doing a website on adopting cats. So if you have friends that like cats, you may want to ask, hey, do you want to test out my website? I want to do a usability test. So your pre-test interview are questions like, what is your name? Do you have cats? Have you adopted cats before? Have you ever used a website on feline adoption? Just basic questions of who your user is. It's really important to know who your user is because that does impact how they perceive your website. So I have an example of a pre-test interview questionnaire. Let's go ahead and open that up. We'll talk about that. So it's very basic, and you can, please know, this is a template, so you can modify this. This was a pre-interview for using an Apple iPad. This is back when they had the first Apple iPad. So you can use this as, usability participant, pre-interview questionnaire 4, and then here's what you put, website, and then put the name of the website. Okay? So you put a person's name. You don't have your contact numbers in a usability test. If the usability scientist wanted to have an extra question, they can call that. But for this practice usability test, you don't have to have a contact number. That's quite all right. If you want to put an email, that's fine. You don't have to put this, just maybe a name and an email address. And then what their occupation is. Maybe this is, a veterinarian. Maybe this is a person that works at shop and say just occupation. You just put like, secretary, librarian, student, or academic student. But when you do usability tests, you have to know who your users are, and that's why those things are there. So here's part 2. Now, I was telling you, if you are doing a website on a particular topic and you're trying to pick people that may be familiar with the topic, this way you can ask, how often do you go shopping at the grocery store? How often do you fix your car? I think somebody's doing a website on, I want to say a service. How often do you take your car to get repaired? So you ask questions that to make sure why you chose that, how this person is going to use your website. If I did a library website, are you a patron of my library? Do you check out books? Do you use a library catalog? You see what I'm saying? Your questions are related to your website, so think like that. You do a website on artist supplies. How often do you buy art supplies? How often do you, have time to do your art? You do a website on wedding photos. When's the last time you attended a wedding? Do you take wedding photos? You're just trying to ask questions that may make when you do usability tests, you're usually doing it for somebody. So let's say your director says, Mary Jane, I want you to do usability tests. So you're actually asking these questions to show the director, these are the people I picked because I think, they will give us some good feedback on this website because they have, they are interested in this subject, or they have done work in this subject, or they like the subject, or whatever. So basically, this is an example. See, do you use a Macintosh Windows? That's not because it's an iPad. So if it's a website on library website, do you use the library website? How often? Like 5 times a month, once a week, 4 times. Think of it like that. So this is just an example. You can modify that, and you can remove things. So think of pre-interview questions so we know who the user is, including are you male, female, age. And you can say age could be like 18 to 25, 26 to 32. See what I'm saying? Because if you're doing usability tests, are your users senior citizens? Are they academic students? If you're doing a website on a children's page, there is no harm in asking a young kid to do usability tests. Okay, so the pre-interview is the first thing you do when you do before you do usability tests. That's the first thing you do. So, any questions on that? I want you to email me, and if you'd like to, you can send me a copy of your pre-interview questions so I can look at it. Please send it to me and say, this is my website. Are these good questions for pre-interview? So I want you to do that, okay? So I wanted this first lecture to focus on pre-interview questionnaires.